Good morning.
Already having heated discussions in the backstage this morning. It'll be an interesting one.
So today we've got a I don't even know what to call the subject. It's what a man hears versus what a woman hears, or I mean,
Gender communication.
gender communication kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
that'll be interesting because yeah, we always hear that men are from Mars, women are from Venus or something like that. I don't, is that the title
it
That's the
of
is.
the
book.
book? Okay.
It
John
is.
Gray.
You talk about it in your column this month, right?
Mhm.
And yeah, it's unreal sometimes how we say something and the other gender hears completely different. For example, I'm gonna throw this out. This weekend I had a panic attack and I woke up in the middle of the night and I was like kind of like hyperventilating and I was having a panic attack. So I told my husband, I need a hug. Well, he heard something else.
The minute there's an opening.
And in the middle of the night, you don't say those
I'm like,
things.
no, I don't mean sex. I don't want sex. I want a hug. I just need a freaking hug.
It's funny you say that because even my mother way back in the day said, sometimes I just want your father to rub my back, nothing else.
Oh my God.
It always has to lead to something, men. Oh.
Right? It's like, why can't it just be a hug with nothing attached to it? Like,
You got to be clear
anyway.
with us, guys. We see what we and hear what we want to hear. You got to be precise with the word. These are the
Oh,
limits of what I want.
One
yep.
mind, one track minds actually is what we got. Is when, especially if you're going to put us near a woman's body in a bed, expect it.
It's
Don't ask me for
just
a hug because
mechanical for men,
yeah,
I guess. It's
yeah,
just like,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
yeah.
it's
Program.
got to be now.
It's got to be
Well,
now.
one thing I can say about like we do, Steve and I, if people know, have a men's group, and the way we relate to other men is totally different than women would relate to. I would think. I don't know. I'm not around when it's just girls, but when I graduated from my course, I was the only guy with 38 women, so I have a little bit of insight on how women speak and think and behave. But guys is differently. So let's say we have a corpulent big guy in the group or something. If we were to get in a van, we go like, okay, Porky, get in the back, or big fella or something.
Oh my God.
Which guys will not go home and cry about. But I don't think girls will do that. I don't think they would go, yo, huge Yugi, get in
Man,
the.
are you kidding? That would trigger eating disorder in no time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So guys like, yeah, stretch or whatever, or someone gets a new haircut and we go, what was it? The last one in the window, like just that's how we relate. It's kind of bust each other's. I guess balls is not a bad word.
No.
We
Anyways,
can
you're
say
on the
that.
internet. It's free for all on
Yeah,
here.
yeah,
So,
yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah. It's just we razz one another, and that's how we know we're buddies. You tease each other, and I don't know, maybe like for women watching an MMA fight, guys pound each other silly, then hug and kiss each other at the end. I've seen them pound each other and then they kiss the guy on the head, pat his back, pat his butt, like victory. And it's like, you gave me your best. Thank you. And that's how we relate a little differently, I think. Than
Well, it's
yeah.
the same as women having arguments. They go on forever and ever and ever. They don't forget. Where men will have an argument today, disagree completely, and tomorrow morning,
yeah,
meet for coffee and say,
yeah,
how
yeah,
was last night? Okay, we just move on. I was down the East Coast a few years ago, and I asked the guy one time, especially in a small community, I said to him, how can you fight tonight in a bar because they were fighting, and tomorrow morning you're going to sit and have a breakfast with them? He said, we're a small community. We're going to meet each other, so we can't stay enemies. And whereas he says, my wife will.
it's funny you said that because it was either Uh, Larry Holmes talked about his fight with Ali. I'm pretty sure it was Holmes or Fraser. I forget which one. Anyways, how they hated each other, but now they're grateful to each other and they love each other, because without that fight and that razzing, there wouldn't be that history about that encounter. There wouldn't be that fight that took place. So out of mutual respect, even though there was lots of bad talk and bad blood amongst them, they made history and they had to rely on each other to be part of that history, despite putting each other down. So
Okay, but
interesting.
seriously, I mean, you guys, men must have like nemesis that they can't get along with, that they
Oh.
fight with, and that they just
I have a guy that I used to work with, and both of us were like fire and ice. You know, as soon as we got together, you could feel the tension building, and he never did anything to me. I never did anything to him. And
it's just
yet,
a thing, right? Like,
you just don't I just don't like him. And even
it's a
right now,
feeling.
I'm thinking about it, I say, oh, I could go and smack him on top of the head. And if he's talking about me, he's probably thinking the same way. We used to get in a car together. There was 7 or 8 of us in a car, and I would talk to everybody else. He would talk to everybody else, but we would never speak to each other. And if I was his foreman, and if I had to tell him what to do, I had to tell his brother, because otherwise it would be an argument. I tell him, okay, Mark, tell Dave to go and do this, because if I told him, we'd fight. And
I think, Steve, that's an anthropological thing. I think that's pecking order in the wolf pack, like who's going to be the leader. And like 2 lions, there can only be one.
There
and
can only be one leader.
It was just disdain. It was just disdain for him, and I still have it to this day. And I'm not his boss any longer. I've been his boss in 40 years, and if I walked by him on the street, I still would not say hello to him.
Yeah.
I would just keep on going.
So I
ahead.
want to ask people, before we continue, I want to ask people to let us know if they have examples of things. Today we are discussing what men hear and what women hear. So when a man says something, how is a woman hearing that? And when a woman says something, how is a man hearing? What is a man hearing? So do you have examples of things that you've said to your husband that were interpreted completely differently than what you had in mind, or vice versa? So just let us know in the chat if you
like I need
if
a
you're
hug.
hearing that. Yeah, like I need a hug.
Or like I'm coming out the other side. That you're talking about.
Yeah, Mai-Liis this morning was saying that she tested positive for COVID, poor thing. And so she was saying that she's finally coming out the other side, and the guys heard something completely
She didn't
different.
say side, she said end.
Oh, and
the other
sorry.
end.
She's coming out the other end. Okay, Ivan, so you had something you wanted to say.
Well, I think back, my mom used to, my dad would remark, why is everything little? Like my mom would go buy a little pair of shoes, buy a little dress, and I'm like, you don't hear guys going, I'm going to go out and buy a little pair of pants. Like, you know what I mean? So I'm trying to figure out, she probably meant like, not super expensive or something, just a little pair, just like basic, but it was always little. And my wife, Caitlin, says it's the same thing. It's little this and little that. I just need a, or she has a really bad headache, or a really, like, these intensifiers get used a lot. I don't know. I don't want to use some other things, but something really bad. It's always add really bad versus like what, like a really good headache. Like, why do you have to add really bad? I have a headache. You have to qualify your category headaches. Like everything's really bad. Like,
kind of like what you guys have when you have a really bad cold, huh?
Yeah, well, like you girls think that it's comparable to giving birth, but you guys don't know what it's like to have a man cold.
What is it? What is it like to have a man cold? When we get a cold, we just another day. Like we just keep going. When a man gets a cold,
we got to be pitiful somewhere.
It just drives me nuts, when we have the same cold, right? And he's in bed.
No,
and he's just
he's got a man cold.
He's got a man cold. It's different, completely different. It's stronger, it's harder, it beats the hell out of you more.
Yeah, but debatable. I think we're just tougher.
Yeah, the man cold puts you in bed and you have to watch 20 YouTube videos and things like that because it's a man cold, right?
20 hours of Netflix.
20 hours. Yeah.
And someone has to bring us soup because it's too far to walk.
Of course. Yeah. Well, who's bringing me soup?
And I'd walk, but I can't talk. Yeah.
And I've
So
been talking about headaches before, like a woman has a bad headache, a super headache. And growing up, my grandfather, every time he had a headache, he'd look at you and say, "Oh, I got a piss cutter of a headache today." And my grandmother would go crazy. You can't say that, Hank. And he'd come in, "Oh, it's a real piss cutter." And he would just sit there. And even myself, like a few times now, that's in my head. And I'll sit there and I'll come out with it and say, "Oh my God." And I see people kind of looking at me with three heads because, especially if you're in with women, you say, yeah, there's other words you can use.
Choose the vocabulary. Julia, earlier you mentioned men are from Mars, women are from Venus. And one big thing he talks about, men are fixers. So when a woman comes home from work and she complains about someone at work, we want to fix it. But you don't want us to fix. You just want to shut up, listen, and go, I feel your pain. But men will tell, well, why don't you just tell her this? Or why don't you just, that's not what you just want to go, blah, 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 till you're done. And then we go, wow, how are you going to handle that, dear? That must be tough. And that's what you want to hear. And I've learned that, but it took a long time.
And I've learned to tell my husband now that, hey, listen, I don't want you to fix this. I just want to vent. I just need to get it out. Okay. So you don't need to find a solution for it. I'll figure that out on my own.
Exactly.
But I just want to say it. It's on my mind and I want to talk about it.
So men and women, like men will talk for information and more technical. Women talk to relate. It's about the interaction with the other people. Why us, we want to figure out the puzzle. Well, what is it you're getting to? We'll get to it. Why don't you name it? Why don't you say it? And you, it's about, well, how does this person feel? I'm saying you, I'm making generalization. And that I'll talk about too, because anytime I'm in a group with a bunch of women, if I make a generalization, I can raise my hand. Someone's going to say, yeah, but not everybody.
I was going to say that just before.
And I guarantee you, it's not a guy that's going to say that. It drives me crazy. Yeah, but not everyone. And another classic line I get that really annoys me is, but if you just save one, and I'm always like, well, then we're going to have to put a fence around the entire ocean and river because, somebody might fall in the water. But so women go more from a nurturing place, where guys are maybe a little more practical. I'm going to just put that out there and see if anybody slams us.
So far, so good.
Well, it's like if you're getting, when I took my son to learn how to swim, I got in the water with him and left him alone. I backed away from him and he paddled like hell. His mother got in the water and grabbed him. And I'm saying, why? Let him sink or swim. He's not going to drown. I'm here. I'm going to pick him up. But no, she was going completely crazy because I was like 5 feet away from the kid. And but
You're lucky, Steve. My dad threw me in the pond. Everybody else was skating.
I couldn't do that to my son.
Holy.
But his mother, women see it differently, and we want to give them like a slap upside the head where they will just say, no, you can't do that. You got to give them a kiss up there because they did something wrong.
Well, my husband used to go crazy because if the kids would hurt themselves, I would run to them and kiss their boo-boo, right? Like, oh, poor little thing, And he was like, let him tough up, let him toughen up. Like, stop being after him every time. Yeah, and we were talking behind the stage before. Look at where I am today.
My son had a lazy eye, so he used to wear a patch for about 6 months. Anyways, exactly. He was pirate. But he was out on his bicycle one day, and I guess he didn't see the car that was there, and he drove into the back of the car. And my wife at the time run to get him, and I walk over, and she's looking at him. He's all. I said, "Okay, get up." And I take him in the house, and she's running for face cloths and everything else. And I said to him, "Okay, you're okay to go back out now." And she's, "I haven't cleaned him yet." I said, "That's fine. He'll be fine." Well, the war broke out. You can't send him back out there with torn pads. He got a knee sprain. Let him go. Let him learn what it's like to be a man, or be. We all have to eat a pound of poop before we die, for sure. So.
Funny you mention that because when I was working with teens, I remember asking them, how does a mother react versus a father? And I say you get hurt. And he says, if you get hurt playing football or whatever, and you go, I'm cut or whatever, and your dad will go, well, this is what he answered. Well, it's far from the heart. You'll be fine. But if it's your mother, she drags you in, just clean that up and bandage it and all this. And you notice little kids, they'll fall at a park. They'll fall, they'll look up. And if the parent goes like this, then he cries. If you do nothing, he does nothing. They react to your reaction,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true.
My grandmother used to say, it's far from your butt. You don't have to sit on it.
There you go. So there's a study, according to Luann Bizendine. She's a practicing physician at the University of California in San Francisco and the author of the book, The Female Brain. And she said women speak 20,000 words a day and men speak 7,000 words a day.
Oh my God.
So
I can believe it.
That's why our job is to listen. Oh, which reminds me. So when I was doing the PAR program, the Changing Directions group, I worked as a facilitator for that group. It was people charged with domestic assault. And this is a common thing. Women, what's the most common complaint from men about women? They fill the blank too much. They
talk too much?
They nag too much. And what's the number one complaint of women towards men? They don't
do enough. They don't
listen.
They don't listen. They don't listen. So men never listen because women nag too much, and men don't. And women
nag
keep
too much
talking
because men. It's a vicious
because
circle.
they don't listen. Exactly. And that, I mean, with that group, they nailed it every time I left a blank. You guys have to go back to school and study. But yeah, they would know right away. That's the most common complaint. And if I were to say, men get mad and women get
even.
Wow. People usually reply sad. Or emotions and react. But if you get even,
I like even better.
Yeah, and that's why they're the secret chicks, ladies and gentlemen. They don't get mad; they get even.
Get even.
Whoa, that's not good for our image, Mai-Liis.
Yeah.
But so how like do men? So men don't listen enough. Is it that they don't listen, or they just tune us out? Like I feel sometimes like I'm just I will ask for the same thing once, and then I'll ask again, and then I'll ask again, and then I'll become nagging because things don't get done.
And now it really doesn't listen.
And then I'm like being told, "Oh, you're such a nagger. You're always nagging and nagging and nagging at me. You're just, I'm like, okay, well, I've asked like nicely 15 times before. Now it's time where I turn up the heat a little bit. So how do we get out of this vicious
circle? It's like here, if Mary, like the garbage is out on the front deck and it's time to put it out, okay, it's got to be out for tomorrow morning, for example, she'll come in and say, the garbage got to go out. See, that's fine. I know it's got to go out. I'm up early in the morning, number one. So if I miss it tonight, I'll put it out in the morning. Mm-hmm. And so it's not a biggie. It's raining. I'm not going out in the rain. I'm not going to go out to put a garbage can out by the side of the road because it's raining. So she will ask or come back after, oh, don't forget the garbage. Don't forget. I'm not going to forget the garbage.
Okay, but what about somebody who does forget?
Well, if they do forget, it's because it's not important to them. But if it's that important to you, do it yourself.
That's kind of when I worked at Astro, the guy that I sat beside, we had a conversation once too, and I had said something to that effect, like if something needs to be done, a woman wants it done right away. It needs to be done right away. And his answer was, yeah, a guy sees that it needs to be done too, but it doesn't have to be done right away. Same kind of thing. It will get done.
Yeah,
I don't know about that. I still have a shed who's not torn.
Okay. All right. Well,
I don't know about that. But an important thing you said was if it's important enough to the person, then they'll do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
if it interests me, I'll do it. if it doesn't interest me, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna really take my sweet ass time because I don't like doing things that I'm not interested in. And
Okay, but why do
Okay.
women
because
react
they're
differently?
naggers.
Like if you
Because they're
ask
naggers.
us, no, but if you ask us to do something, we know it's important to you, so we'll do it right away.
Yeah.
No, not all the time. Not all the time. You're just making a generalization there. I've been married 3 times,
Oh.
and I do not.
Ivan, who talked about generalization now?
Yeah.
But I've been, like I say, married 3 times, and I've never had a woman hop and jump as soon as I said something had to be done. It's never happened for me.
Throw in the
So-
word now, Steve, and see what reaction you get. I want that done now. See what happens when
Oh.
you said that.
I've
Since they
learned-
like to do it right away, according to Julia. Yeah, right.
Well, I'm just talking from my side, I guess, because if my husband asked me for a coffee, I'm on it right away.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
So
I-
coming back to what Steve said earlier, maybe, and you said it's nagging. So maybe there's a little bit of passive aggressivity. You asked me 50 times. Well, now you're going to wait because I'm going to do it on my own time. So it might be passive aggressive. It might be, for people, passive aggressive is you piss off people by not doing something like, oh, she wants the dishes done. You leave them in the sink just to drive her crazy intentionally because that's what she really wants done now. So that would be passive aggressive, something you do not do to provoke someone.
Hmm.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
I think
So
I'm
how
good
do
at
we
that.
bridge that gap?
You got to read Men Are From Mars, Women From Venus. because one thing you might hear from women, well, you know what I meant. And men are more say what you mean what you say. So when you go, one thing, Caitlin, and maybe it's just her, but she thinks I'm in her head. All of a sudden, out of the blue, is like, yeah. So Mai-Liis said that we should go there, and go where? What? But she did that process in her head, and all of a sudden we're in the car, and I'm like, yeah. Mai-Liis said we should go there, and I'd be like, she's there. She's making a comment in the background. I'm not that good yet. I got to figure it out. Yeah.
But women start half sentences, and that's something that I found. That Mary's the same way. She'll be talking, and all of a sudden, what the hell are you talking about? And but I don't know. Maybe we do something similar, but I find women overall start halfway through a subject, and they expect you to catch up.
I think what
Yes.
happens is it's not halfway through. We've already had those sentences that we've said, and you
You
guys have
tuned us
just zoned out. You haven't really listened, and then you realize we're talking, and then you've missed half the conversation. That's
But 20,000
What did you say,
words.
Mai-Liis?
20,000 words.
oh, you're good, Steve. I think men have selective hearing. That's
Yeah,
what it is.
I agree.
See, you say that. I think we just get it the first time, and we don't want to talk. We don't want to say, well, what do you think of? Because it's going to open up a whole other half hour of discussion. So we just like, yeah, okay.
We want to stay within our 7,000 words.
You want-
we got to hold back. We save ourselves.
But
It's funny because I get the completely different complaint. Like my husband comes home from work at like in the morning because he works overnight, and then he goes, "Come and talk to a daddy," and I'm like, "Nah, I gotta work."
Wow, that's a whole different thing. Come and talk to daddy.
That's like rub my back.
No wonder you can't hug. Yeah.
Give me a hug.
Who's the daddy?
Instead, Julia wants to
Do
stay
you
and
see?
work.
Yeah.
Do you
all
see
right,
what
Julia.
they heard? Do you
All
see
of a sudden, I
what they
pictured
heard?
you. See,
Oh my
Julia?
God.
Steve and I pictured you in a little school uniform right there. Come talk to daddy.
Oh my God.
Oh my God,
I
Ivan,
gotta
you
watch
did,
what I say.
Ivan did the accent well too there. Talk to Dad.
Who's your daddy?
Oh my God.
Yeah,
Julia-
so from what I read, men tend to be more precise. Women use a lot of I think they call intensifiers, kind of, sort of, I kind of like this, I'm not sure. Do that more, which probably drives us insane. Well, what do you think? Well, I don't know. What do you think? Well, I don't. Oh man, it's funny, because every time I sound like that, I think of like my parents. Like, as a child, you watch your parents interact and you get it. So it would go like this every time. It'd be a Sunday, and that was the only day they had off. And you want to go for a ride? Yeah. I feel like going for a ride. Where do you want to go? Well, let's go there. No, I don't want to go there. Well, where do you want to go? I don't care. Well, let's go there. No, I don't want to go there. And then it would be on. Because she just wouldn't name where she wanted to go, and he would guess wrong, and that would just like shut the conversation down. That was it. I was done. Both get in the car and no one speak.
Yeah, I gotta admit, I think I'm guilty of the guessing game, like of wanting somebody to. I don't know if it's like because we're raised with fairy tales, right? So our Prince Charming is supposed to come and sweep us up off our feet, and he's supposed to know our every need and our every thought, and that's just not reality, right? So I think the guessing game is something that I do sometimes, where I'm expecting him to know or to guess what I want or need, and not express what I want or need.
So it's funny you say that, because in relationships, right? If you met a girlfriend and she's telling you about she just met a new guy and all that, would be a whole different discussion than if a guy meets another guy and tells him about he just met a girl. What they would put the importance on would be different thing. One would be of conquest, one would be of emotion and relationship. And a good example of that is a song from Greece there, Tell Me, Did She Put Up a Fight and all that there, tell me more, tell me more.
Yeah.
So you see, one is like sweet and the other one is like, did you score type of thing.
Right.
So it's cartoonish, but it really does depict the difference in sexes back then anyway.
Yeah. Well,
Sorry, I think
it's funny because, like some of the stuff that's from back then, like would raise eyebrows today. Like it's
if you
funny.
put up a fight is like
Right,
salt
like-
today. Like, so.
Like
Yeah.
how they're probably going to want to change those lyrics soon.
Maybe it's cold outside.
That's taking it too far if you ask me. I'm like,
Yeah, I know.
yeah.
But are you a good listener, Julia, and Mai-Liis? Are you a good
A
listener?
good listener?
Yeah.
Depends
Or
with
would
who.
you rather do the talking?
I don't know. It just depends.
My-Liis is a talker.
I
My-Liis is a talker.
I like to talk, but I mean, I can listen too.
This is me talking to My-Liis. Okay, I gotta go now. Yep. Yeah. Okay. Bye. 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 What? Huh? Yeah. What? Okay. Bye. Bye. What? Like.
21,000 words.
Oh yeah, definitely. My-Liis is a talker. God love her.
Mary was a nurse, like when she was working, and she was a pediatric nurse, and during her career, she lost a lot of kids, like that died on her shift and stuff like that. So she used to come home and wake me up. It didn't matter if it was 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. I got up at 4 to go to work. She would come in and sit at the end of the bed and talk to me and tell me everything that went on that night. So I would just sit there, and I got to admit, I would go in and out of my sleep, but she had somebody to talk to. And her first husband was, like Ivan was saying at the beginning, a fixer. If he didn't like something, she'd get in the car after a hard night, lost a child or whatever, and she would say, I just lost this. And he said, well, if you're not happy, quit, do something else and everything else. And it wasn't what she wanted to hear. So
Trying to fix it.
Yeah, I would lay there and just let her talk and talk and talk, even though I knew I had to get up earlier. And only once, and to this day, it still breaks my heart, is she come in and I was dead. I was getting up in an hour and a half to go to work, and she started talking, and I cut her off. And it was like I broke her heart. So, just do something else. We have to become listeners. And I think that's something that women have a harder time accepting from men, that some men can be listeners. And whereas, we like to say before, we're fixers. A lot of times we'll just jump right in. Okay, let's do this, let's get it done.
Well, you want the conversation to be over as quickly as possible, so you're trying to fix it.
Yeah, because we don't want the
And a
7,000
solution.
words.
Right.
We don't want to run out of
I will ask Caitlin, like, I mean, you want me to listen or you want me to give you some possible solutions to that? And depending on what it is, sometimes it's just listen and sometimes it's like, no, what would you do if? Okay.
Yeah.
But it takes a long time to learn that. I mean, when you're 24 years old, you don't know that stuff. You just
And,
hope for the best.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
also, there's people that are visual, and there are people that
Auditory.
see it in their auditory. And
Sensory.
I'm the type of person. I I do math. I can't put down all the work, but I can tell you numbers. Okay, so we were building a deck in the back one time, and Mary woke me up in the middle of the night. She said the deck is going to collapse. I said, what do you mean it's going to collapse? And she says, well, we put this in the wrong place. So I'm laying there. I said, oh, I know exactly what to do. So I rolled over, go back to sleep. It's fixed. I fixed it in my head. It's fixed. She was up all night. The next day I go out, I removed 2 boards, I moved a couple of posts, put it back together. And she said, I stayed up all night for this because, but
worrying.
like I said, yeah, she's
See,
worried about it.
women worry.
Exactly what I was getting to. Women worry about it, where men say, oh, well, it is what it is. And
There's a quote by Mark Twain that I love: "Is worrying is like paying a mortgage on a house you'll never own." What a waste of time.
It's funny because my kids take taekwondo, and this past week, the instructor, I don't know if you know him, Brent Stang. He's kind of like old school as well, and he's like, for today's day and age, he's kind of unorthodox in the way he teaches, because he teaches about being tough and stuff. And he was talking about, people and not letting them live in your mind rent free,
Right.
So,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, and
How do you do that? Like, I'm like we were talking backstage before we came on. Like, I worry all the time. I can't stop worrying about this and that. And, how do I let go? How do you guys do it to not worry about
you come
things?
to a realization that it doesn't change anything. Worrying. What actions are you taking? What behaviors are you changing in your son or daughter? It's just wasted. You're worrying, they're probably snoring away. Like, so
Yeah.
worrying is useless. Like, have a plan, but to go, what am I going to do? Who does that help? You're overtired. You're going to be short with your husband because of it. Whatever. Like, it's not a win situation.
I'm gonna need a hug.
I'm going to need a. Well, that'll help both of you in the end. If you come out the other side, as we say.
The other end. Come out the other end.
The other
The
end.
other end.
The other end.
I didn't want to
The
say
other
that,
end of
Steve.
things.
I on purpose didn't want to say that.
I
that
did.
time.
I did.
I know.
And I won't
Right.
talk about the woodpeckers.
Yeah, yeah. So yes, guys' brains, anything that can be seen, especially, I don't know, well, maybe Steve and I are just that, but
Dirty old man.
anything that can be seen as phallic or phallus or when it's like, I don't know, Regina, Saskatchewan, we hear vagina, Saskatchewan. Like, I mean, it's there. You're ready for the joke every time. And when we have to behave, I'll look at him, he'll look at me and go, that was an opening, but we're behaving today. We didn't say it. Hold on. And then sometimes one of us lacks discipline.
Well,
Lots
like,
of
with us at group, like one of the guys will say something, and this guy will look down the table at me, and he's waiting. And I said, no, just because he's waiting, I'm not doing it tonight. I'm not going to say it. But,
And there it is.
Yeah.
That must be interesting to hear those men talks.
Oh,
It took him all of 10 minutes.
Yeah, but there he goes. He didn't let go. He didn't forget. He just put it in the back burner. Yeah.
But it's funny how women don't understand men, and it's funny how men don't understand women. And like I said before, I've been married 3 times, and I really don't understand you gals, because you're never changing species. Because today you're going to love us to pieces because we rubbed your shoulders last night, and tomorrow I'll go and do the exact same thing to you, and it will irritate you.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, leave me alone today.
It's easy, Steve. It's easy. I want what I want when I want it, and everybody's happy with that. Children, women, men. It's when you don't want something and it ends up in front of you that
Hmm.
So you could go up and touch a man anytime and you'll get him on your side. But go up and touch a woman anytime and
That's
she's going to
true.
kick you off. And it's like, okay, which way do we go today? You know?
Yeah, you
especially
guys
at the
are
freezer section at Food Basics. She doesn't like that. Huh?
No.
you guys are. I don't want to. It's not an insult or anything, but you're simple creatures.
Yeah.
Like it's easy to please a man. Like it's
Oh
just like
yes.
good food, good sex, and you're fine. You're good. That's all you need,
That's
right?
yeah. And
What else is
the
there?
odd beer.
The odd beer. Women are kind of a little more complex.
Break a nail and their day is ruined. Yes, I get it. Graham, we're going to get swamped for stereotyping today, but anyway, we're just having fun.
But
right?
I mean, okay, let's talk about stereotypes for a minute because we're hearing all over the place. Gender is a construct. It's a social construct. It's not like there's no men, women, whatever. But I mean, physiologically, it's there.
Oh,
yeah.
Like we're more emotional beings. We're more like it's
And we can hit a target when we pee.
not always.
we try.
Sometimes we miss. That's why you can leave the little duck in the center of the toilet.
I live with 4 boys. Like a lot of times you miss. Most times you miss.
Let's not have PMS week when you live with 3 girls.
Oh my God. Yeah. That would be tough.
Go into hiding.
But okay, one thing you guys need to stop doing is telling women, are you PMSing every time there's an emotion?
I've never done that, and I have to admit, I've never said that to any woman that I've been with.
Well,
because it's just to me, there's just certain things you don't say, and that to me, that's one of them.
You're a little emotional. You must be PMSing this week. No.
I might think it, but I know not to say it.
Well, to that I will reply, and if they are, they will deny that they are, because then it would be too self-evident. They wouldn't go, yes, you're right, darling, I am. No, you never hear that, as if we guess wrong every time. No.
But we're not PMSing 4 weeks out of the month, and there are emotions.
I thought that was a cycle.
3 weeks on for 1 week off.
3 weeks on, 1 week off.
Yeah.
Time for a hug.
So one thing I mentioned before, I think before we went on camera, was that I've heard women directors say that in Hollywood, when they're assertive, they're seen as bitchy, but when a male director, he's just seen as assertive. And so like power and influence probably played for a long time. I think things are balancing out now, but if you were born in the 1930s, your mother probably made all the meals. It was more submissive. Get me this, get me that. My first marriage, it was like, you've got legs. Like, what? Like, I didn't ask for anything. Mai-Liis knows her, so she believes me.
I do.
And so now when Caitlin says, "Can I get you that?" No, I'll get I'll get it for you. But I'm like, when you're kind of so many years of, you got legs, get your own. Don't ask. And so you teach people how to treat you. Like no matter what gender, you learn. Then you feel awkward when it's the opposite way. Like Steve's had like 107 wives, so by now he should know they're all different. But but yeah, I think it's just there's gender, and then there's personality, and then there's influence, cultural influence, how you were raised, and all that kind of stuff. Actually, Mai-Liis, I don't know if you're going to allow me to say this, but your ex-husband had said something about culture, where you had to go get a woman so she would be good and submissive. I remember that.
Oh Lord, that doesn't surprise me.
Go get an Eastern European woman. They know their role, or something to that effect back in the day.
And then did it work? I guess it didn't.
Only for so long. Hey, that a girl.
Yeah, it was too much. Like back in the day, it was too much.
But when you're talking about, Julia, before about the like all the genders and everything else going on, and I'm not even going to start on what they are because I'm too old to remember them all now. But you're talking about emotions, and women do have different emotions than men. And so I have a friend of mine who right now is transing from a man to a woman. And he still goes under he. So I'm using that so nobody can slap me today. He still goes under he. But he said to me one day, I'm having an emotional day. So he said, I guess that's my female hormones. So I said, well, how do you have female hormones? You know, I said, you might have female feelings, but the hormones, you're all male hormones. You are a man.
Well, he's probably getting injections, Steve.
No, he's not getting nothing yet. He's not getting
See,
nothing yet.
that's where I have difficulty understanding. Like I can understand that you know, there's different genders, and somebody might not be who they are in their body. They might feel like they're a female soul in a male's body or something. I get that, but the fact is that the body is still male. So wouldn't all the physiological stuff that comes with manhood go with that? Like I have a hard time understanding.
Well, probably certain things, if you don't use it, you lose it. So probably there's a high diminishing of testosterone if he's really, supposedly on cruise ships where it's like lesbian cruise ships, they all end up on the same cycle over time. So I don't know if that's true or not, but man, like we interrelate all different ways, men, women, and all that. It's an amazing influence that one has on the other. Look at the amount of testosterone when you walk into a prison. Like you probably feel that right away walking through the door,
right?
You know what I mean? Or the military or whatever. Like, hoo-gah, you know. So
yeah, you can palpable.
Yeah,
I just find it all so confusing right now, and
things are breaking.
And I have respect for the ones that are doing it. You don't hear me?
Yeah.
Well, I'm not hearing you. It's all rough all of a sudden. Try again.
Okay. Well, that's just my voice.
No, it's feedback.
Oh.
Okay.
I'm good.
I say, I just don't. I'm not knowledgeable enough of it, so but I just don't understand it, like what's going on. I think I would like to find out more.
Yeah, it's a new thing. Like I mean, it's fairly recent that.
That's got to be me.
I don't want to learn from the people that's going through it. I would like to learn from doctors or something that could tell you this is what is actually happening, because it's to me it's very, very, very confusing, and like I hate insulting people by accident. I can insult you because I want to, but to do it to people who are going through this, I have respect for them. So I don't want to, but I like to know more about how their emotions, how the emotions change for them.
It's funny how you say that. There was a thing I mentioned that I think last week, Steve, in Men's Health magazine. It was a back page, and it was like, women, if you have to ask us, do I look fat in it? You probably do.
Oh Lord!
So about communication, and then
so that's funny how they advertise to men versus women too, right? That was in a magazine.
Yeah, it's Men's Health magazine.
Oh wow!
And they're saying there was another one. It says 2 things men will definitely always stop to look at: accidents and side boob. Yeah. But it makes a lot of. So explain to me this. I've heard numerous times. I've heard lots of women tell me they prefer working with or for men than they do for women. I've heard that often. I don't know if that was.
I can relate to that.
But I've heard that often.
Yeah, me too. Actually, when I worked at the print shop, I preferred working with the guys.
Well, not even only working. Like I have a ton of male friends, and Mai-Liis is pretty much my only girl friend. And
simpler,
Louise,
right?
so.
It's simpler being a guy friend.
Yeah,
Right?
I guess.
Yeah.
I guess
it actually is.
Welcome to our challenges. We have to take in consideration the theme, the mood, the hormonal influence, that what happened before, what might happen after, what if you said, what if it was misinterpreted, what did you mean when you said what you thought you said? it gets complicated. But with guys, it's like, hey,
So answer me this. So since guys are so sexual, right? Like
yeah,
much more sexual mind than women, I would say. Like
I don't
I
think
don't
so.
know, maybe I'm stereotyping again,
But-
but we were talking about, if you touch a man, there's always a sexual thought
repercussion?
with your husband or whatever. So what about friendship between men and women? Like, do you feel like there would be always a sexual tension in
No.
I'm allowed as long as they're not attractive.
What? All right.
No, I don't think so, because I work with a lot of women and a lot of good looking women too. And there's no sexual tension between us. And, I look at them. Yes, I'm going to admire any woman that I'm with. I'm going to tell you right now, my eyes are going over them. I'm looking at them. It's just part of me. And Ivan says that I could feel them coming because they'll walk behind me.
I didn't say that. I said it's like he can sense their presence as they walk in the room. I didn't say he can feel them coming. Choose your words wisely, my friend.
Whoa!
That has two different meanings right there.
Yes,
Yeah.
I'm like, okay.
And you see, you girls have guy brains because you caught that right away. Naughty, naughty,
did.
naughty.
But okay, I can sense their presence because I'll be sitting in a restaurant with him, and somebody will come through the door, and exactly what it's like.
His spider senses are tingling.
I love looking at women.
My husband's become very good at just like, very.
Oh, I'm not candid. I'll actually tell Mary, look at that one there. She's ever pretty. No, why hide it? It's not like I'm going to run down the street after them trying to get a hug.
I don't know
Tell-
if you'd
tell
want
me-
to do that in the street. No.
My wife and other people will notice other women looking at me more than I will notice. Oh, do you see the way that woman or that cashier looked at you or whatever?
Oh,
I'm
she
like,
wants
"No,
you.
no, no."
Oh yeah, she wants you. She
I'm
guilty.
like, nah, I didn't see that. Oh, you must
Even-
have.
Even guys, like my husband gets the stare from the guys sometimes. Like I'm like, oh yeah, he's looking at you.
He's checking you out. See if you're a brother.
He's like, no.
I
Yeah.
never get that. I never get that.
Yeah,
Right.
well, different strokes for different folks, I guess. Okay, Steve, I said the word stroke. Come on. You
gotta jump on it. You gotta jump on it.
Whoa, Julia, you got to jump on it there. See who's talking.
Not if you're
See, look,
stroking.
you got to jump on it. There you go.
Terrible. So yeah,
Yeah.
so we're kind of showing how guys
Guys,
Another thing that's fun is like Caitlin had an all-girl party, and when women get together, they can be pretty.
Oh, they're raunchy.
They're loud. They make noise.
Yeah. They're very, very raunchy. I learned that a few years back at a party where I was working, and it was all the girls were in one part because one of the girls was leaving. And when you heard them talking and going on, like some of the guys in the office were embarrassed by the things that was going on in it. But,
We learn from the best.
we
There,
tried to teach
that
you
was a typical response. You taught me how to be that way. Yeah, terrible.
Yeah.
Man.
Well, I've got one little incident happened yesterday too. Like you said, Julia, when your hubby wants a cup of coffee or something, you go get it, right? I'm the same thing. So if mine wants a tea, I'll go make it. So yesterday, I'm sitting in the front going, Sheldon, did you say you were going to make a tea? No, I didn't. Left it at that. That was it. I'm
You
like,
have to be more
"Oh."
direct. I would like now. that
But
you
I
make
thought
me-
I'm sitting here thinking to myself, okay, was that not enough of a hint that
No,
you should
no.
get up
Speak-
and go? And
Speak
that was it.
clearly. That's a good point, Mai-Liis, because if there's an out, we'll look for it. Well, you didn't say now, or you didn't say you wanted it right away. Or Yeah. So us is like, oh, it's just okay. The window's open, but later.
Yeah, and I'm like angry in here saying I would have taken that as a hint. I would have gone and done it. But
But
yeah.
that's you. But that's you.
Yeah.
So yeah.
But he
That's
didn't want to
Again,
get up.
we're expecting you guys to know and to anticipate our every need.
yeah.
Well, he
I-
probably knew it, but just couldn't be bothered getting up at that point.
Yeah, that's probably exactly what it was.
Possible.
Or he's teaching you how to treat him. You tell him what you need. When she's going to be clear, I'll go do it. That would be more like me. Once you tell me exactly what you want, because when we guess wrong, it's no fun. Oh, I thought that's what you wanted. Well, no, anybody you would know better than. So yeah.
So next time you just gotta say, Sheldon, make me a tea, please.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And if you speak in an affirmation, the brain goes somewhere else. Even with teenagers, you go pick up your coat versus do you want to pick up your coat? Your brain goes somewhere else. So when you make an affirmation, pick up your coat, they'll pick it up without even thinking. But do you want to? It goes to do I want to? I don't know. Maybe now, maybe. So that's
Did I say that?
Yes. You got to use that if you want. Yes, please make me a coffee. He'll get up and make you a coffee. Try it tonight. Instead of, do you feel like making me one? Oh, the word feels in there. No, I don't feel like.
And I think guys are much more at ease with just saying no if they don't feel like it than a woman. Like we'd feel obligated and do it anyways. You know?
Unless it's Friday night, and in case you might hug later, so you'll make that coffee. So tell me this. In a workplace, let's say it's 50-50, okay? It's balanced, men and women, 50-50. Who do you think goes and complains to the managers more, men or women? I'll be honest.
Women?
You think so? Mai-Liis, who do you think complains to the manager more, men or women?
When I was working, it seemed to be the men that had more complaints.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It wasn't distributed 50-50 though, was it?
Not really, no. The
Okay.
men seem to have more complaints.
All right, so maybe in my workplace, it's men don't go and complain to a boss about this guy's getting on my nerves, but women will go and say, you know what, I have to work with her, and she said, and I don't feel respected.
I would see.
Guys don't do that. We don't go to our boss and say, I don't feel respected by such and such a dude. Like we handle it ourselves, I think. Steve, what do you think?
Absolutely. I worked in an office only for a few years, and I never went to my boss's office unless he called me in for something. Because if I didn't like what somebody was doing, I'd tell them, go into the can or whatever when they're going out, see them go to the washroom, get them in the bathroom, tell them, okay, now it's time for you to chill. Or if it's a woman, get her in the lobby and say, you got to stop this bullshit. But never went into the boss. They went into the boss afterwards, but not.
Yeah, or just avoid them all. Yeah.
But
Okay.
Ivan, you work only with women, so
No. Well, not at my. Well, it's the ratio is probably 70-30. Yeah, it's probably that kind of ratio.
yeah.
But I mean, that's just an observation from my manager. They'll go like, let's say we're 10 guys and 30 women. There's not a guy that went knocked on his door and go, I don't think it's fair that this other guy. And like we don't do that. We don't.
So
seem to do
are
it as
guys
much.
better at telling each other
F
off?
Yeah.
Well, probably telling each other off, or we just. Here's the thing. Steve and I had this conversation a while back that men use is we get indifferent. We get out of the emotion. Do what you want. I don't give a shit, and we mean it. We. Which is bad because you're not mad. You just remove all emotion from it. You don't give a and guys will go there just to survive. That's what will just become indifferent. Let him mess it up. If he backs up the truck. I have a friend a beautiful story. A friend of mine, this was years ago, tells me that he was told to load carpet in a van, okay, like a roll of carpet. And he goes to the boss, says, I can't, it's not going to fit. And the boss says, I don't care what you do, just get it in there. Well, they put the end of the roll up against a cement pier. They put the front in the van. They backed up the van and they rippled the whole van. There you go. You told me do what you got to do, get it in. It's it.
Wow.
Oh my. See, and a woman wouldn't even think of doing something like that.
So yeah, we took to the word. Is that you said do whatever? Oh, okay. And I
Did
think guys are a
whatever.
little more like, yeah, I think guys are a little more like that. We're like, if that's the opening for lack of common sense, we'll use it. Yeah.
I had
Wow.
talking about loading a truck. I drove a truck driver all my life, and I was loading a load of boxes at Mirabel Airport. And this new guy that was hired as my manager comes in on the loading dock. He says, you can't load your truck that way. So this guy was a mechanic before, not a truck driver. So he started telling me how I'm going to load. So I said, okay, Jerry, go ahead. I'll be back. I'm going to have a coffee. I said, but get it all in. I went back about a half an hour later. He's on the loading dock. He has about 15 boxes left. And he says, you could have stayed and helped me. I said, no, you were doing good by yourself. I said, what are you going to do with these other 15 bucks? Oh, I called for another truck. So I said, okay. So why? He said, they don't fit. I said, okay, why don't you go have a coffee and come back after? So he left. I unloaded the truck. I reloaded, got everything in, and I still had room for about 5 more boxes. And when he come up, he looked, he said, where's the box? I said, everything's in there. He said, next time, don't ever tell me what I can and can't do. He said, you are a mechanic, bug off, leave me alone. And you know, we had a relationship after that. He never questioned me. Here you go, here's your keys, have a nice day. Because I know what I'm doing.
I'm glad you mentioned that, Steve. I think when we work husband and wife, it doesn't matter who takes charge, but you have to agree that someone's going to take charge, because otherwise you're pulling the ladder in 2 different directions, right? So before, I would say that to the people listening out there, is any job you do, decide who's going to take the lead on the job and they're responsible for it, because otherwise you're pulling one way and the other one's pulling the other, and that's just going to be, so whatever, maybe pulling a tarp over something or whatever. Someone has to lead and someone has to follow. You both lead, it's going to be a tough dance, So, and like I said, it doesn't matter who leads, but decide ahead of time. It's just better that way.
Well, it's like here when we do renovations, and we've been in them for 22 years now. I never pick out colors. I'd say, okay, I want this room in blue, but I don't pick the blue because I'm not good at that. That's what she's good at. I can tell her how we're going to do it. That's my forte, but not the actual color itself. And Mary follows me well, but I also follow her well, because like Ivan says, one takes the lead. If we're going to start something, okay, Mary, you know what you're doing here. I don't. Show me what you want. And it's hard to admit that you don't know what you're doing sometimes.
As they said in the Spider-Man movie, with great power comes great responsibility.
You muck it up, it's your problem.
On that note, fellas, that's it. We're already done the hour.
Wow.
Time flies when you're having fun.
It was definitely very informative today. That's for sure. Seeing how men and women think. Wow.
Absolutely. And we might have got it all wrong. Who knows?
Who knows? We'll see if we get some flack over the next week. See if we get some comments.
And I will figure out how I'm going to ask for that tea today.
Right? Try your
say what you mean what you say, and honor your word. It works for everyone.
Yeah.
And remember, it's the last Monday of every month.
Yeah,
yes,
I even thought it was the first Monday of the next month, because last week we did it late. Yeah.
No, it's always last Monday of the month.
Of every month.
I'll try and get it right.
And I just want to tell people that for the next 3 weeks, we're going to be having the municipal candidates on the show. So on October 3rd, October 10th, and October 17th, you can come and ask them questions. They're going to be here for a chat with us. And then on not sure of the date yet, but probably October 18th, we're going to have the mayoral candidates for a debate at night. So watch for the dates for that as well. On that note, guys, have a great week.
And a super duper day.
Bye for now.
Bye, everyone.